Idris Elba has returned to our screens in his what's arguably his most iconic role as gritty London detective DCI John Luther. After 5 seasons, there's now a feature-length film called Luther: The Fallen Sun, which is the film I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, Luther spans 5 seasons on the BBC and has been made into a full feature-length film, courtesy of Netflix, and was released onto our screens on the Friday the 10th of March. In this movie, it's set after the events of season 5 of Luther. John Luther is in prison, how he was being taunted by a deranged, twisted serial killer, city trader David Roby, who's played excellently by Andy Serkis. And John Luther must break out of prison to stop this killer by any means necessary. Now, the first thing to say about this film, people ask me, do you need to watch the series before you watch the film? And the answer is, it doesn't really matter a great deal. It's beneficial to watch it for the purposes that you know about Luther's character and his background. What I did is I watched a 10-minute recap on YouTube of the 5 seasons, and it just gave a full flavour, everything I needed to know up to the point at the start of the film. I personally, however, was a huge fan of the Luther series. I would go as far to say it's one of the best BBC dramas that I ever saw. Some of the episodes were incredibly intense. There was some really good villains in it, some really twisted villains. I thought it pushed the boat out for a BBC drama, and I did really like it. That said, without going too much into what happens, it does get a little bit sort of far-fetched and a little bit kind of samey. And I think Luther: The Fallen Sun could easily have been made into a two-part feature series on the BBC with the same story. Personally, whilst I did like the film, it had all the Luther formula. Idris Elba is very good in it. Andy Serkis is very good as the villain. He's very twisted. I would say that, in all honesty, had it been made into a series, it wouldn't really. I don't think it's really any much better than some of the other episodes, some of the other storylines that were in the series. I don't think it's much better than much of them. I don't think it's worse. I just don't think it really stands out as any better. What a criticism of this film I would say is that whilst it has all the good stuff, some really good strengths in this film, unfortunately it did drag a little bit, and at 2 hours 10 minutes, they were looking to scale up the set pieces, scale up the action, and make Luther into a very own kind of almost a James Bond type character, solving crimes rather than saving the world, and that's fine. What I would also say is a criticism of this film is that it did look, the way it was written, as though as Netflix had a little bit of influence in this, and I don't think that, I think that the BBC drama, the first few seasons, had a real originality and a dark, sort of gritty feel to it, and I feel this was maybe watered down slightly to appeal to a wider audience. But that said, Luther: The Fallen Sun is still worth a watch. If you're a fan of the series, then I think you'll be a fan of this film. I know some people who've really, really liked it, some people not so much. I personally would give Luther: The Fallen Sun a 7 out of 10. But let me know what you think. This is Glasgow Movie Addict. My name is Robert. Luther: The Fallen Sun, starring Idris Elba and Andy Serkis. 7 out of 10 from me. Comment below and I'll be back on my next review. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.